Deep within the misty forests of ancient Europe, hidden beneath the whispers of rustling leaves and the shadows of towering oaks, lies a secret so profound that it has been guarded for centuries. The Druids, enigmatic figures cloaked in mystery, held knowledge so powerful, so forbidden, that it was never meant to reach the ears of the uninitiated. What if I told you that these ancient keepers of wisdom possessed secrets that could alter our understanding of history, spirituality, and the very fabric of existence? Secrets so dangerous that they were buried, erased, and forbidden to all but a chosen few. Today, we embark on a journey into the heart of the unknown, unraveling the 25 forbidden knowledge of the Druids. From sacred rituals shrouded in secrecy to ancient practices that defy modern understanding, each revelation will pull you deeper into a world where the line between myth and reality blurs. But be warned, this is not just a tale of the past. The knowledge we uncover may challenge everything you thought you knew. So, are you ready to step into the shadows and uncover the truths that history tried to erase? Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you'll see the world through the eyes of the Druids, and their forbidden wisdom might just change the way you see everything. Now, let us step into the heart of the Druids' most revered sanctuaries, the sacred groves. These ancient forests were far more than just clusters of trees. They were the spiritual lifelines of the Druids, places where the veil between the earthly and the divine grew thin. Imagine standing beneath a canopy of towering oaks, their branches intertwining like the fingers of gods as the air hums with the energy of unseen forces. This was where the Druids communed with nature, not as conquerors but as humble participants in a sacred dialogue. The sacred groves served as both temples and classrooms, where rituals of immense power were conducted under the watchful eyes of the forest. Here, the Druids performed ceremonies to honor the cycles of the seasons, to seek guidance from the spirits of the land, and to harness the energies of the natural world. These groves were not merely places of worship, they were living libraries of wisdom, where every rustling leaf and whispering wind carried messages from the divine. But why were these groves forbidden to outsiders? The answer lies in their sanctity. The Druids believed that the groves were conduits of pure, untamed power, and only those who had undergone years of rigorous training could safely navigate their mysteries. To the uninitiated, the groves were perilous, their energies overwhelming and their secrets incomprehensible. Outsiders who dared to enter risked not only their lives but also the delicate balance of the spiritual world. The sacred groves were also a testament to the Druids' profound connection to nature. They saw the forest not as a resource to be exploited, but as a partner in their spiritual journey. Every tree, every stream, every stone was imbued with meaning, and the groves were the physical manifestation of this belief. To desecrate or disturb these spaces was to invite chaos, both in the natural world and in the spiritual realm. As we move deeper into the mysteries of the Druids, the sacred groves remind us of a time when humanity saw itself as part of a greater whole, bound by reverence for the earth and its unseen forces. But this is only the beginning. Next, we'll uncover the secrets of the Ogham Script, a cryptic language that held the keys to the Druids' most guarded knowledge. Stay with us as the journey into the forbidden wisdom of the Druids continues. Now, let us turn our attention to one of the most enigmatic tools of the Druids, the Ogham Script. This ancient system of writing, carved into stone and wood, was far more than a simple method of communication. It was a sacred language, a bridge between the earthly and the divine, and a repository of the Druids' most guarded secrets. Picture standing before a weathered stone pillar, its surface etched with lines and notches that seemed to pulse with hidden meaning. This was the Ogham Script, a code that only the initiated could decipher. The origins of the Ogham Script are shrouded in mystery, much like the Druids themselves. Some believe it was inspired by the natural world, with its characters resembling the branches of trees or the patterns of leaves. Others suggest it was a gift from the gods, a divine language meant to convey truths too profound for ordinary speech. Whatever its beginnings, the Ogham Script became an essential tool for the Druids, used not only for communication but also for recording their rituals, histories, and spiritual insight. But why was this script considered sacred? The answer lies in its purpose. The Ogham Script was not merely a way to convey information. It was a means of preserving knowledge that was too powerful to be shared openly. Each character held layers of meaning, from practical messages to profound spiritual truths. To the uninitiated, these markings might appear as simple scratches, but to the Druids, they were keys to understanding the mysteries of the universe. The secrecy surrounding the Ogham Script was deliberate. The Druids believed that knowledge, especially sacred knowledge, was a double-edged sword. In the wrong hands, it could be misused, leading to chaos and destruction. To prevent this, the script was taught only to those who had proven themselves worthy through years of rigorous training and initiation. Even then, its deeper meanings were revealed gradually as the initiate demonstrated both wisdom and restraint. The Ogham Script was often inscribed on boundary markers, sacred stones, and even trees, serving as both a record and a warning. These inscriptions were not meant for casual readers. They were messages for the initiated, markers of sacred spaces, or reminders of the Druids' connection to the land. To the untrained eye, they were cryptic and unremarkable, but to the Druids, they were a living testament to their spiritual and intellectual heritage. As we explore the Ogham Script, we catch a glimpse of a world where language was not just a tool but a sacred art. It reminds us that the Druids were not only keepers of nature's secrets, but also masters of the written word, using it to preserve their wisdom for future generations. But the mysteries do not end here. Next, we'll delve into the ritual of mistletoe, a practice steeped in symbolism and spiritual power. Stay with us as the journey into the forbidden knowledge of the Druids continues. Now, let us step into the shadowed groves where the Druids performed one of their most sacred rituals, the gathering and use of mistletoe. This seemingly humble plant, with its delicate white berries and evergreen leaves, held a place of profound significance in Druidic practices. To the Druids, mistletoe was far more than a symbol of winter festivities. It was a bridge between the earthly and the divine, a plant imbued with potent spiritual and healing properties. The ritual of mistletoe was steeped in symbolism and ceremony. The Druids believed that mistletoe, especially when it grew on oak trees, was a gift from the gods. The oak, as we've discussed earlier, was sacred to the Druids, and mistletoe growing upon it was seen as a sign of divine favor. Harvesting mistletoe was no ordinary task. It required precise timing and ritualistic care. The Druids would wait for the 6th night of the new moon, a time when they believed the plant's power was at its peak. Using a golden sickle, they would carefully cut the mistletoe, ensuring it never touched the ground, as this was thought to diminish its sacred energy. But why was mistletoe so revered? The answer lies in its dual nature. Mistletoe was seen as a plant of paradox. It thrived in the dead of winter, a time when most life lay dormant, and yet it remained evergreen, a symbol of resilience and renewal. To the Druids, this made it a powerful emblem of life, death, and rebirth. It was used in healing rituals to cure ailments, purify the body, and ward off evil spirits. Its berries, though toxic if consumed improperly, were believed to hold the essence of vitality and fertility. The spiritual significance of mistletoe extended beyond its physical properties. It was thought to open pathways to the otherworld, allowing the Druids to communicate with spirits and deities. During ceremonies, mistletoe was often burned as an offering, its smoke carrying prayers and invocations to the heavens. It was also used in divination, with its leaves and berries serving as tools to interpret the will of the gods. However, the knowledge surrounding mistletoe was not for everyone. The Druids guarded this ritual closely, passing it down only to those who had undergone years of rigorous training and initiation. they believed that the power of mistletoe, like all sacred knowledge, could be dangerous if misused. In the wrong hands, it could disrupt the natural order or bring harm rather than healing. This is why the rituals were performed in secret, away from the eyes of the uninitiated, and why the deeper meanings of mistletoe were revealed only to those who had proven themselves worthy. As we reflect on the ritual of mistletoe, we see a practice that embodies the Druids' deep connection to nature and their reverence for the unseen forces that shape our world. It reminds us that even the simplest elements of the natural world can hold profound mysteries, waiting to be unlocked by those who approach them with respect and understanding. But the journey into the forbidden knowledge of the Druids is far from over. Next, we'll explore their advanced understanding of the lunar calendar and its role in their spiritual and agricultural practices. Stay with us as the mysteries continue to unfold. Now, let us turn our gaze skyward, where the Druids found another key to unlocking the mysteries of the natural world, the lunar calendar. Unlike the solar calendar we use today, which follows the sun's annual journey, the Druids' calendar was deeply tied to the cycles of the moon. This lunar-based system was not just a tool for marking time. It was a sacred framework that guided their agricultural practices, spiritual rituals, and even their understanding of celestial events. The Druids' lunar calendar was divided into 13 months, each corresponding to a full lunar cycle. This system allowed them to track the subtle rhythms of nature with remarkable precision. They observed how the moon's phases influenced the tides, plant growth, and animal behavior, and they used this knowledge to plan their planting and harvesting seasons. For example, certain crops were sown during the waxing moon, when its growing light was believed to encourage vitality, while other tasks like pruning or weeding were reserved for the waning moon, a time of release and renewal. But the lunar calendar was more than just a practical guide for farming. It was also a spiritual map connecting the Druids to the cosmos. They believed that the moon's cycles mirrored the cycles of life, death, and rebirth, reflecting the eternal dance of creation. Each phase of the moon held its own significance, from the new moon, a time of new beginnings and fresh intentions, to the full moon, a period of heightened energy and spiritual power. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Druids' lunar calendar was its ability to predict celestial events such as eclipses. By carefully observing the moon's movements and aligning them with the positions of the stars, the Druids could anticipate these rare occurrences with astonishing accuracy. To ancient societies, eclipses were often seen as omens or messages from the gods, and the Druids' ability to foresee them gave them immense influence and authority. Yet, this knowledge was not shared freely. The Druids guarded their understanding of the lunar calendar as closely as they did their other sacred practices. They believed that the power to predict celestial events and harness the moon's energy was too great to be entrusted to the uninitiated. Misuse of this knowledge could disrupt the natural order or lead to chaos, and so it was passed down only to those who had proven their wisdom and dedication through years of training. The lunar calendar also played a central role in the Druids' festivals and rituals. Many of their most important ceremonies, such as Samhain and Beltane, were timed to coincide with specific lunar phases. These festivals marked the turning points of the year, celebrating the cycles of nature and the interconnectedness of all life. Through their lunar calendar, the Druids sought to live in harmony with the cosmos, honoring the rhythms of the earth and the heavens. As we reflect on the Druids' lunar calendar, we see a system that was both practical and profound. It reveals their deep connection to the natural world and their belief in the sacredness of time itself. But the forbidden knowledge of the Druids does not end here. Next, we'll explore the vital role of bards in preserving their oral traditions and hidden wisdom. Stay with us as the journey into the mysteries of the Druids continues to unfold. Now, let us step into the world of sound and story, where the Druids entrusted their most sacred knowledge to the voices of the bards. These skilled storytellers and musicians were far more than entertainers. They were the living libraries of the Druidic tradition, safeguarding their people's history, wisdom, and forbidden secrets through the power of song and poetry. The bards held a unique position in Druidic society. Unlike the Druids themselves, who were often secluded in their sacred groves, the bards traveled widely, sharing their tales and melodies with communities across the land. This mobility made them indispensable, as they carried the oral traditions of the Druids to both the initiated and the uninitiated, though the deepest secrets were reserved for those who had earned the right to hear them. Training to become a bard was no simple feat. It required years of rigorous study, memorization, and practice. Young apprentices were taught to master the intricate art of storytelling, learning to weave complex narratives that could captivate an audience for hours. They were also trained in music, often playing instruments like the harp or lyre, which added emotional depth to their performances. But perhaps most importantly, they were entrusted with the sacred task of memorizing vast amounts of information, genealogies, histories, laws, and even the forbidden knowledge of the Druids, all preserved in poetic form. This reliance on poetry and song was not accidental. The Druids understood that rhythm and rhyme made information easier to remember and pass down through generations. By encoding their wisdom in verse, they ensured that it could survive even in times of turmoil, when written records might be lost or destroyed. The bards, with their ability to recall and recite these verses flawlessly, became the guardians of this living tradition. Yet, the role of the bards went beyond mere preservation. They were also the keepers of secrecy. While they shared stories and songs with the public, the true meaning behind many of their verses was known only to the Druids and their most trusted initiates. To the untrained ear, a bard's performance might seem like a simple tale of heroes and gods, but to those who understood the hidden layers, it contained profound spiritual teachings and forbidden knowledge. This duality allowed the bards to spread the Druids' wisdom while keeping its deepest truths concealed. The bards' performances were not just intellectual exercises, they were deeply spiritual acts. Through their songs, they invoked the presence of the gods, celebrated the cycles of nature, and connected their listeners to the mysteries of the cosmos. Their words had the power to inspire, heal, and transform, making them essential to the spiritual life of their communities. As we consider the role of the bards, we see how the Druids used art and creativity to protect their sacred knowledge. The bards were more than storytellers. They were the threads that wove the fabric of Druidic culture, ensuring that its wisdom endured through the ages. But the mysteries of the Druids do not end here. Next, we'll delve into the sacred oak tree, a symbol of strength and divinity that stood at the heart of their rituals. Stay with us as the journey into the hidden world of the Druids continues to unfold. Now, as we turn our attention to the natural world, we find ourselves standing beneath the towering presence of the sacred oak tree, a symbol so deeply revered by the Druids that it became the very heart of their spiritual practices. To the Druids, the oak was far more than just a tree. It was a living bridge between the earthly and the divine, a source of immense power and wisdom that played a central role in their most secretive rituals. The oak tree held a unique place in the Druidic worldview. Its strength, longevity, and ability to withstand the harshest of conditions made it a symbol of resilience and endurance. But beyond its physical attributes, the oak was believed to be a conduit for spiritual energy, a sacred being that connected the Druids to the gods and the forces of nature. This connection was so profound that the Druids often chose oak groves as the sites for their most important ceremonies, where the presence of the trees amplified the power of their rituals. One of the most striking examples of the oak's significance was its role in the ritual of mistletoe harvesting. As we've discussed earlier, mistletoe was considered a sacred plant, but it was the oak that gave it its divine power. The Druids believed that mistletoe growing on an oak tree was a rare and potent gift from the gods, imbued with healing and spiritual properties. Harvesting it required a precise and sacred ceremony, performed only by the highest-ranking Druids during specific lunar phases. The oak, as the host of this sacred plant, was seen as a guardian of this divine gift, further cementing its status as a holy entity. The oak's symbolism extended beyond its physical form. Its roots, reaching deep into the earth, were thought to connect the Druids to the underworld and the ancestors who dwelled there. Its trunk, rising tall and unyielding, represented the axis of the world, linking the earthly realm to the heavens above. And its branches, spreading wide and sheltering all beneath them, symbolized the protection and wisdom of the gods. This threefold connection, earth, sky, and the divine, made the oak a microcosm of the Druidic universe, a living embodiment of their spiritual beliefs. In their rituals, the oak was often used as an altar or a focal point for prayer and meditation. Druids would gather around the tree, offering gifts and sacrifices to honor its sacred presence. They believed that by communing with the oak, they could tap into its spiritual energy, gaining insight, guidance, and even prophetic visions. The tree's leaves, bark, and acorns were also used in various rituals, each part carrying its own symbolic meaning and power. But why was the oak so central to the Druids' forbidden practices? The answer lies in its connection to the divine. The Druids believed that the oak was a direct link to the gods, a channel through which they could communicate with the spiritual realm. This made the knowledge surrounding the oak's use in rituals highly secretive, reserved only for the most trusted initiates. To misuse or reveal this knowledge was considered a grave offense, as it risked severing the sacred connection between the Druids and the divine. As we reflect on the sacred oak tree, we begin to understand its profound significance in the Druidic tradition. It was not just a symbol of strength and endurance, but a living testament to the interconnectedness of all things, earth, sky, and the divine. The oak stood as a reminder of the Druids' deep reverence for nature and their belief in the sacredness of the world around them. And now, as we prepare to delve deeper into the mysteries of the Druids, we turn our gaze to a practice that has long fascinated and unsettled historians: the ritual of human sacrifice. What role did this controversial practice play in the Druids' spiritual beliefs, and why was it shrouded in such secrecy? Join us as we uncover the truth behind one of the most enigmatic aspects of Druidic tradition. Now, as we step into one of the most debated and unsettling aspects of Druidic tradition, we confront the ritual of human sacrifice. This practice, shrouded in secrecy and controversy, has long been a subject of fascination and horror, raising questions about the spiritual beliefs and moral boundaries of the Druids. What drove them to perform such acts, and what did they believe it achieved in their connection to the divine? The ritual of human sacrifice was not a random or barbaric act, but a deeply symbolic and spiritual practice. For the Druids, it was believed to be a way of maintaining balance between the human world and the spiritual realm. They saw life as a cycle of energy, where the offering of a life could renew the connection between the living and the gods. This act was not taken lightly. It was reserved for moments of great importance, such as times of crisis, to appease the gods or to ensure a bountiful harvest. The chosen individuals were often seen as messengers, their lives given as a sacred exchange to secure the favor of the divine. Historical accounts, particularly from Roman writers like Julius Caesar, describe these rituals in vivid detail. Caesar wrote of large wicker structures shaped like human figures, filled with living beings and set ablaze as offerings to the gods. While these accounts are often viewed with skepticism due to their potential bias, they provide a glimpse into how the Druids' practices were perceived by outsiders. The secrecy surrounding these rituals was paramount, as the Druids believed that revealing the details would diminish their power and invite divine retribution. The moral implications of human sacrifice are complex and deeply troubling from a modern perspective. Yet, for the Druids, it was a sacred duty, a necessary act to maintain the harmony of the world. They believed that the sacrifice of one could save many, a concept rooted in their understanding of interconnectedness and the cyclical nature of life. This belief system, while difficult to comprehend today, highlights the profound spiritual significance they attach to these rituals. The secrecy of human sacrifice was not just about protecting the knowledge from outsiders, it was also about preserving its sanctity. The Druids believed that only those initiated into their highest ranks could fully understand and perform these rituals without disrupting the delicate balance between the human and divine realms. To misuse or reveal this knowledge was considered a grave offense, as it risked severing the sacred connection they worked so hard to maintain. As we reflect on this controversial practice, it's important to approach it with both historical context and an open mind. The ritual of human sacrifice reveals the lengths to which the Druids went to honor their beliefs and maintain their connection to the spiritual world. It challenges us to consider the complexities of ancient spirituality and the ways in which different cultures understood life, death, and the divine. And now, as we move forward, we turn our attention to another cornerstone of Druidic philosophy, the concept of the Druidic triad. What were these guiding principles, and how did they shape the moral and spiritual behavior of the Druids? Join us as we explore the wisdom behind this ancient framework. Now, as we shift our focus from the intense and controversial practices of the Druids, we delve into a more philosophical aspect of their tradition, the Druidic triad. This concept, central to their spiritual and moral framework, offers a fascinating glimpse into how the Druids structured their understanding of the world and their place within it. The Druidic triad was a set of three guiding principles that shaped the moral and spiritual behavior of the Druids. These principles were not just rules to follow, but profound truths that reflected their deep connection to nature, the divine, and the interconnectedness of all life. The exact nature of these triads varied across different Druidic communities, but they often revolved around themes of wisdom, balance, and harmony. One of the most well-known triads emphasized the importance of truth, honor, and justice. For the Druids, truth was not merely about honesty, but about aligning oneself with the natural order of the universe. Honor was seen as a reflection of one's integrity and respect for the sacred bonds between individuals and the divine. Justice, in their view, was about maintaining balance and ensuring that actions were in harmony with the greater good. Another triad focused on the interconnectedness of the mind, body, and spirit. The Druids believed that true wisdom could only be achieved when these three aspects of a person were in alignment. This holistic approach to life encouraged them to seek knowledge, care for their physical well-being, and nurture their spiritual connection to the world around them. The philosophical underpinnings of the Druidic triad were deeply rooted in their reverence for nature and the cycles of life. They saw the world as a living, breathing entity where every action had consequences that rippled through the fabric of existence. By adhering to these triads, the Druids believed they could live in harmony with the natural world and fulfill their role as mediators between the human and divine realms. This knowledge was not shared openly but reserved for those who had undergone rigorous training and initiation. The Druids believed that understanding and living by these principles required a level of spiritual maturity and insight that could only be achieved through years of study and practice. To reveal these truths to the uninitiated was seen as a violation of their sacred trust, as it risked diluting the wisdom and disrupting the balance they sought to maintain. The Druidic triad served as a moral compass, guiding the actions and decisions of the Druids in both their personal lives and their roles as spiritual leaders. It was a reminder of their responsibility to uphold the sacred order and to act with wisdom and integrity in all things. As we reflect on this ancient framework, it's clear that the Druidic triad was more than just a set of rules. It was a way of life that embodied their deepest beliefs and values. It challenges us to consider how we too can strive for balance, wisdom, and harmony in our own lives. And now, as we continue our journey into the mysteries of the Druids, we turn our attention to their use of divination. How did they harness the power of symbols and signs to predict the future? And why was this knowledge considered so dangerous Join us as we uncover the secrets of Druidic divination. Moving deeper into the enigmatic practices of the Druids, we now explore their profound connection to the art of divination. This ancient practice, steeped in mystery and reverence, reveals how the Druids sought to glimpse the unseen and interpret the will of the divine. Divination was not merely a tool for prediction. It was a sacred act that required deep spiritual insight and respect for the forces at play. The Druids employed a variety of methods to divine the future, each with its own symbolic significance. One of the most common tools they used was animal bones, often from creatures considered sacred, such as deer or birds. These bones were cast in specific patterns, and the Druids would interpret the arrangements as messages from the spirit world. The placement of each bone, its proximity to others, and even the direction it pointed were believed to hold profound meaning. Another powerful tool in their divinatory arsenal was the use of runes. These carved symbols, often etched into wood or stone, were more than just letters. They were conduits of spiritual energy. Each rune carried its own unique meaning, and when drawn or cast, they formed a language through which the Druids could communicate with the divine. The act of reading runes was a meticulous process, requiring not only knowledge of their meanings, but also an intuitive connection to the unseen forces guiding their interpretation. The Druids also relied on natural phenomena for divination. The flight patterns of birds, the rustling of leaves in sacred groves, and even the appearance of clouds were seen as omens. These signs were believed to be messages from the gods, offering guidance or warnings to those who could decipher them. The Druids' deep connection to nature allowed them to perceive these subtle cues and interpret them with remarkable accuracy. However, the power of divination was not without its dangers. The Druids believed that accessing such knowledge required a delicate balance of skill, respect, and humility. Misusing divination, whether through arrogance or ignorance, could disrupt the natural order and invite chaos. For this reason, the practice was closely guarded and taught only to those who had proven their worthiness through years of training and initiation. The knowledge of divination was considered sacred and forbidden to outsiders. The Druids understood that in the wrong hands, this power could be used for manipulation or harm. They believed that the future was not fixed but shaped by the actions of individuals and the will of the divine. Divination, therefore, was not about controlling destiny but about understanding it and aligning oneself with the greater flow of existence. As we reflect on the Druids' use of divination, it's clear that this practice was far more than a means of predicting the future. It was a profound expression of their spiritual beliefs and their reverence for the mysteries of the universe. It challenges us to consider how we, too, can seek wisdom and guidance in our own lives, not through control but through understanding and harmony. And now, as we continue our exploration of the Druids' forbidden knowledge, we turn to their mastery of herbal lore. What secrets did they uncover in the natural world, and how did they use this knowledge to heal and protect? Join us as we uncover the mysteries of Druidic herbalism. Now, as we step into the lush world of the Druids' herbal wisdom, we uncover a realm where nature itself was both healer and teacher. The Druids' mastery of medicinal plants was not just a skill, it was a sacred art deeply intertwined with their spiritual beliefs and their reverence for the natural world. This knowledge, passed down through generations, was considered so powerful that it was guarded as closely as any of their other forbidden secrets. The Druids believed that every plant held a spirit, a unique essence that could be harnessed for healing, protection, or even transformation. They spent years studying the properties of herbs, learning to identify them by their leaves, flowers, and even the way they grew in the wild. Plants like mistletoe, yarrow, and vervain were not just ingredients. They were allies in the Druids' quest to maintain balance between the physical and spiritual realms. One of the most revered plants in their herbal lore was mistletoe, which we've touched on earlier. But its significance went beyond ritual. It was also a potent healer. The Druids believed that mistletoe could cure ailments ranging from epilepsy to infertility, and they harvested it with great care, often during specific lunar phases to enhance its potency. The process of gathering mistletoe was itself a ritual, requiring prayers and offerings to ensure the plant's spirit would lend its power to the healer. Another cornerstone of their herbal knowledge was the use of yarrow, a plant known for its ability to stop bleeding and heal wounds. The Druids saw yarrow as a symbol of protection, often carrying it with them or using it in rituals to ward off evil spirits. They also brewed it into teas or poultices, applying it to injuries to speed up healing. This practical use of herbs was paired with a deep understanding of their spiritual properties, making the Druids' approach to medicine holistic in every sense. The secrecy surrounding this herbal lore was not just about protecting their knowledge from outsiders. It was also about ensuring that it was used responsibly. The Druids understood that the power of plants could be as dangerous as it was beneficial if misused. For example, some herbs, like belladonna, had potent effects that could heal or harm depending on the dosage and intent. This duality made the Druids' role as guardians of this knowledge even more critical. Their herbal practices were also deeply connected to their agricultural and seasonal cycles. The Druids believed that the timing of harvesting and preparing herbs was just as important as the plants themselves. They aligned their work with the phases of the moon and the turning of the seasons, believing that these natural rhythms amplified the herb's healing properties. This connection to the cycles of nature further underscored their role as mediators between the human and natural worlds. The legacy of the Druids' herbal lore extends far beyond their time. Many of the plants they revered are still used in modern herbal medicine, a testament to their profound understanding of the natural world. Yet, what set the Druids apart was not just their knowledge but their respect for the sacredness of this knowledge. They saw themselves not as masters of nature but as its students, humbly learning from the wisdom of the earth. As we reflect on the Druids' forbidden herbal lore, we're reminded of the timeless connection between humanity and the natural world. Their practices challenge us to look beyond the surface of plants and see them as living beings with their own stories and powers. And now, as we continue our journey into the mysteries of the Druids, we turn to the often overlooked role of women in their society. What wisdom did they hold, and how did they shape the spiritual fabric of Druidism? Let's explore this hidden chapter next. Now, as we shift our focus to the often overlooked yet profoundly influential role of women in Druidism, we uncover a hidden layer of their society where spiritual authority and wisdom were deeply intertwined with the feminine. While much of what we know about the Druids comes from accounts written by outsiders, often men, the contributions of women within their ranks were no less significant. In fact, women played a vital role in shaping the spiritual and cultural fabric of Druidic life, holding positions of power and safeguarding knowledge that was as sacred as it was secret. Women in Druidic society were not merely participants, they were leaders, healers, and seers. They held roles as priestesses, often presiding over rituals and ceremonies that were central to the community's spiritual life. These women were believed to possess a unique connection to the divine, particularly through their association with the cycles of nature, such as the moon and the seasons. This connection granted them a level of spiritual authority that was both respected and revered. One of the most fascinating aspects of their role was their guardianship of certain forms of forbidden knowledge. Women were often the keepers of herbal lore, midwifery, and divination practices, passing down these traditions through generations. Their expertise in these areas was not just practical but deeply spiritual. For example, they were known to use herbs not only for healing but also in rituals to commune with the spirit world, blending the physical and metaphysical in ways that were both powerful and mysterious. The secrecy surrounding their knowledge was not accidental. In a world where power was often concentrated in the hands of men, the wisdom held by Druidic women was deliberately kept hidden from outsiders. This was not just to protect their practices but also to preserve their autonomy. By guarding their knowledge, these women ensured that their roles remained central to the spiritual and cultural identity of their communities. Historical accounts often downplayed or ignored the contributions of women in Druidism, reflecting the biases of the time. Yet, archaeological evidence and oral traditions suggest that women were integral to the Druidic way of life. They were not just passive figures but active participants in shaping the spiritual and social structures of their society. Their influence extended beyond the sacred groves and into the everyday lives of their people, where their wisdom was sought in matters of health, justice, and even warfare. The legacy of these women challenges us to reconsider the narratives we've inherited about ancient societies. Their stories remind us that history is often written by those in power, and the voices of women, particularly in spiritual and intellectual roles, are frequently silenced or erased. By exploring their contributions, we gain a fuller understanding of the Druids and the rich tapestry of their beliefs and practices. As we reflect on the role of women in Druidism, we're reminded of the enduring power of their wisdom and the importance of reclaiming these hidden histories. Their legacy invites us to look beyond the surface and recognize the profound impact of women in shaping the spiritual and cultural landscapes of the past. And now, as we continue our journey into the mysteries of the Druids, we turn to one of their most enigmatic festivals, Samhain. What secrets lie behind this ancient celebration, and how did it connect the Druids to the spirit world? Let's uncover the next chapter together. As we step into the shadowy realm of Samhain, we find ourselves at the threshold of one of the most mysterious and sacred festivals of the Druids. Marking the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, Samhain was far more than a seasonal celebration. It was a time when the veil between the living and the spirit world was believed to be at its thinnest. This ancient festival, deeply rooted in the cycles of nature, held profound spiritual significance for the Druids, and its practices were shrouded in secrecy, reserved only for those initiated into their sacred traditions. Samhain, celebrated on the night of October 31st, was a time of both reflection and transformation. For the Druids, it symbolized the end of the old year and the beginning of the new, a moment of transition when the natural world prepared for the dormancy of winter. But beyond its agricultural importance, Samhain was a spiritual gateway. The Druids believed that during this time, the boundaries between the physical world and the other world dissolved, allowing spirits, ancestors, and other supernatural beings to walk among the living. This connection to the spirit world made Samhain a time of great power and danger. Rituals performed during the festival were designed to honor the dead, seek guidance from ancestors, and protect the living from malevolent spirits. Bonfires, a central element of Samhain celebrations, were lit not only to symbolize the light of knowledge in the darkness but also to ward off evil forces. The Druids would gather around these fires, offering sacrifices and performing divination rituals to glimpse the future and gain insights into the coming year. One of the most intriguing aspects of Samhain was its role as a time of reckoning. The Druids believed that the spirits of the dead could influence the fortunes of the living, and so offerings of food, drink, and other valuables were left outside homes and sacred sites to appease them. These practices were not merely acts of reverence but also a way to maintain balance between the worlds. The Druids understood that the harmony of the natural and spiritual realms was essential for the well-being of their community. The secrecy surrounding Samhain was deliberate. Outsiders were forbidden from participating in or even witnessing its rituals, as the knowledge and practices associated with the festival were considered too powerful to be shared. The Druids believed that misuse of this knowledge could disrupt the delicate balance between the worlds, leading to chaos and misfortune. By keeping these rituals hidden, they ensured that only those who had undergone rigorous training and initiation could wield their spiritual power. Today, many of the traditions associated with Samhain have been absorbed into modern celebrations like Halloween. Yet, the deeper spiritual significance of the festival, as understood by the Druids, remains largely hidden. Their reverence for the cycles of life and death, their connection to the spirit world, and their commitment to maintaining balance offer us a glimpse into a worldview that was both profound and deeply interconnected with the natural and supernatural realms. As we move forward in our exploration of the Druids' forbidden knowledge, we'll uncover more about their sacred practices and the mysteries they guarded so closely. Next, we'll delve into the enigmatic world of the Druids' sacred stone structures that have puzzled historians and archaeologists for centuries. What secrets do these ancient monuments hold, and how did they serve as conduits between the earthly and the divine? Let's continue our journey into the heart of Druidic wisdom. Now, as we turn our attention to the silent sentinels of the ancient world, we encounter the enigmatic sacred stones of the Druids. These towering monuments, often arranged in circles or solitary formations, have stood the test of time, their origins and purposes cloaked in mystery. For the Druids, these stones were far more than mere markers in the landscape. They were sacred spaces, imbued with spiritual power and cosmic significance. The most famous of these structures, such as Stonehenge, have captivated the imagination of historians, archaeologists, and spiritual seekers alike. But what made these stones so sacred to the Druids? To understand their importance, we must first consider their dual role as both ritual sites and astronomical observatories. The Druids believed that the stones served as conduits between the earthly realm and the heavens, allowing them to harness the energies of the cosmos for their spiritual practices. The construction of these stone circles was no small feat. Without the advanced tools and technology we have today, the Druids relied on their deep understanding of engineering, mathematics, and astronomy to align the stones with celestial events. The precise placement of these stones often corresponded with the movements of the sun, moon, and stars, enabling the Druids to predict solstices, equinoxes, and other significant astronomical phenomena. This alignment was not just a practical tool for tracking time, it was a way for the Druids to connect with the divine order of the universe. Rituals performed within these stone circles were deeply symbolic. The stones themselves were believed to hold the spirits of ancestors or deities, and the spaces they enclosed were considered portals to the other world. During ceremonies, the Druids would gather within these circles to conduct rites of passage, healing rituals, and divination practices. The stones amplified their spiritual energy, creating a sacred environment where the boundaries between the physical and spiritual realms blurred. Yet the true purpose of these stones remains a subject of debate. Were they temples for worship, calendars for tracking celestial events, or perhaps both? Some theories suggest that the stones were used for healing, with their arrangement channeling natural energies to restore balance and health. Others propose that they served as gathering places for the community, where knowledge and traditions were passed down through generations. What is clear is that the Druids guarded the secrets of these stones with great care. The knowledge of their construction, alignment, and use was passed down only to those deemed worthy, ensuring that their sacred power remained protected from misuse. Even today, the mysteries of these ancient monuments continue to inspire awe and curiosity, reminding us of the profound connection between humanity, nature, and the cosmos. As we leave the realm of the sacred stones, we prepare to explore another fascinating aspect of Druidic wisdom, the forbidden art of shape-shifting. What did it mean for the Druids to transform, and how did this practice reflect their understanding of the natural and spiritual worlds? Let's continue our journey into the hidden depths of Druidic knowledge. Now, as we step into the shadowy realm of transformation, we uncover one of the most intriguing and forbidden aspects of Druidic knowledge, the art of shape-shifting. For the Druids, shape-shifting was not merely a myth or a fantastical tale. It was a deeply spiritual practice rooted in their understanding of the natural world and the interconnectedness of all living beings. This ability to transform, whether into animals, plants, or even elements of nature, was seen as a profound expression of their unity with the cosmos. The belief in shape-shifting was tied to the Druids' reverence for the natural world. they saw animals as sacred messengers, each embodying unique qualities and wisdom. By taking on the form of an animal, a druid could tap into its strengths, instincts, and spiritual essence. For example, transforming into a wolf might grant heightened senses and a connection to the wild, while becoming a raven could symbolize access to hidden knowledge and the mysteries of the otherworld. This practice was not about physical transformation in the literal sense, but rather a spiritual merging with the essence of another being. Rituals associated with shape-shifting were complex and deeply symbolic. Often conducted during significant celestial events, such as the solstices or lunar eclipses, these ceremonies involved chanting, meditation, and the use of sacred herbs to induce altered states of consciousness. The Druids believed that in these heightened states they could transcend their human form and embody the spirit of an animal or natural force. These rituals were not undertaken lightly. They required years of training, discipline, and a deep understanding of the spiritual and natural laws that govern the practice. But why was this knowledge considered so dangerous? The answer lies in its potential for misuse. Shape-shifting was not just a tool for personal enlightenment, it was a form of power. In the wrong hands, it could be used to deceive, manipulate, or even harm others. The Druids believed that such power came with great responsibility, and only those who had proven their wisdom and integrity were entrusted with its secrets. Even then, the practice was shrouded in secrecy, passed down only to the most trusted initiates. The fear of this knowledge falling into the wrong hands was so great that it was often encoded in myths and allegories, ensuring that only those who truly understood its deeper meaning could access it. The spiritual implications of shape-shifting were equally profound. For the Druids, it was a reminder of the fluidity of existence and the interconnectedness of all life. By embodying another form, they sought to transcend the limitations of the human experience and gain a deeper understanding of the universe. This practice reinforced their belief in the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth, as well as the idea that all beings are part of a greater whole. As we leave the mystical world of shape-shifting behind, we prepare to delve into another cornerstone of Druidic belief, the concept of reincarnation. How did the Druids view the cycle of life and death, and what role did it play in their spiritual practices? Let's continue our exploration into the hidden wisdom of the Druids. Now, as we turn our attention to the timeless cycle of life and death, we encounter one of the most profound and mystical beliefs of the Druids, the concept of reincarnation. For the Druids, reincarnation was not just a philosophical idea. It was a cornerstone of their spiritual worldview, deeply intertwined with their understanding of nature, the cosmos, and the eternal flow of existence. This belief shaped their rituals, their moral code, and their approach to life itself, offering a unique perspective on the journey of the soul. At the heart of the Druidic belief in reincarnation was the idea that life is a continuous cycle, a never-ending journey of the soul through different forms and experiences. The Druids saw death not as an end but as a transition, a doorway to a new beginning. They believed that the soul or essence of a being was immortal, passing from one body to another in a process of renewal and growth. This cyclical view of existence mirrored the natural world around them, where seasons changed, plants withered and regrew, and animals were born, died, and returned to the earth. For the Druids, reincarnation was a reflection of this universal rhythm, a reminder that all life is interconnected and part of a greater whole. The philosophical roots of this belief can be traced to the Druids' deep reverence for nature and their observation of its patterns. They saw the cycles of birth, death, and rebirth in everything, from the sprouting of seeds to the migration of birds. This understanding led them to view human life as just one part of a much larger tapestry, where the soul's journey was guided by the lessons learned in each lifetime. Reincarnation, for the Druids, was not merely a chance occurrence but a purposeful process designed to help the soul evolve and attain greater wisdom. In their spiritual practices, the concept of reincarnation played a central role. Rituals often included invocations to ancestors who were believed to be reborn in new forms, and ceremonies honoring the cycles of life and death. The Druids taught that the actions of one lifetime would influence the circumstances of the next, emphasizing the importance of living in harmony with nature and upholding moral integrity. This belief in karmic consequences encouraged individuals to act with kindness, justice, and respect for all living beings, knowing that their choices would echo across lifetimes. But why was this knowledge reserved for initiates? The answer lies in its profound implications. The Druids believed that understanding reincarnation required a deep level of spiritual maturity and insight. It was not a concept to be taken lightly or misunderstood. Misinterpretation could lead to fear, fatalism, or a disregard for the present life. Only those who had undergone rigorous training and demonstrated their commitment to the Druidic path were entrusted with this knowledge. Even then, it was often conveyed through symbolic stories and allegories, ensuring that its true meaning was accessible only to those who were ready to grasp its depth. The Druidic concept of reincarnation also reinforced their belief in the unity of all life. By seeing themselves as part of an endless cycle, they cultivated a sense of humility and respect for the natural world. This perspective encouraged them to live in balance with their environment, knowing that their actions would ripple through time and shape their future existences. It was a belief that not only guided their spiritual practices but also shaped their daily lives, fostering a deep connection to the earth and all its inhabitants. As we move forward, we'll explore another fascinating aspect of Druidic wisdom, the ritual of the cauldron. What symbolic significance did this sacred object hold, and how did it embody the themes of transformation and rebirth? Let's continue our journey into the hidden knowledge of the Druids. Now, as we step into the realm of sacred objects and their mystical significance, we encounter the ritual of the cauldron, a powerful symbol of transformation and rebirth in Druidic tradition. The cauldron was far more than a simple vessel. It was a profound emblem of life's cyclical nature, embodying the themes of death, renewal, and the eternal flow of existence. For the Druids, the cauldron represented the womb of the earth, a place where the old was dissolved and the new was born, making it central to their spiritual practices and rituals. The cauldron's symbolic power lay in its ability to hold and transform. In many Druidic ceremonies, it was used to brew potions, prepare sacred herbs, or even serve as a focal point for meditation and divination. Its rounded shape mirrored the cycles of nature, while its contents, often water, herbs, or other natural elements, symbolized the raw materials of life itself. The act of stirring the cauldron was seen as a metaphor for the stirring of the soul, a process of purification and renewal that prepared individuals for their next stage of existence. This transformative power made the cauldron a key tool in rituals aimed at healing, spiritual growth, and communion with the divine. One of the most striking aspects of the cauldron's symbolism was its connection to the otherworld, the realm of spirits and ancestors. The Druids believed that the cauldron served as a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds, allowing practitioners to draw wisdom and energy from beyond the veil. In some traditions, the cauldron was said to hold the waters of life, a sacred elixir capable of granting immortality or profound insight. This belief elevated the cauldron to a status of immense reverence, making it a guarded treasure within Druidic circles. But why were the secrets of the cauldron so closely protected? The answer lies in its dual nature, both a tool of creation and a vessel of destruction. The Druids understood that the power to transform and renew could also be misused, leading to chaos or harm if wielded without wisdom. Only those who had undergone extensive training and demonstrated their commitment to the Druidic path were entrusted with the knowledge of the cauldron's rituals. Even then, the deeper meanings of these practices were often conveyed through symbolic language and allegory, ensuring that only the initiated could fully grasp their significance. The cauldron's role in Druidic rituals also reflected their broader worldview, emphasizing the interconnectedness of all life. Just as the cauldron transformed its contents, the Druids believed that individuals could undergo profound changes through spiritual practice and self-reflection. This idea of inner transformation was central to their teachings, encouraging followers to shed old habits, beliefs, and limitations in order to embrace their true potential. The cauldron, in this sense, was not just a physical object but a metaphor for the soul's journey toward enlightenment. As we prepare to delve into the next chapter of Druidic wisdom, we'll explore their advanced understanding of astronomy and the celestial events that shaped their spiritual practices. How did the Druids use the stars to guide their rituals, and what secrets did they uncover about the cosmos? Let's continue our journey into the hidden knowledge of the Druids. Now, as we turn our gaze skyward, we enter the realm of the Druids' forbidden knowledge of astronomy, a field where science and spirituality intertwined in profound ways. The Druids were not only skilled observers of the natural world, but also masterful interpreters of the heavens. Their understanding of celestial movements went far beyond mere observation. It was deeply tied to their spiritual practices and their connection to the divine. The Druids' ability to predict eclipses was one of their most remarkable achievements. Using their knowledge of lunar and solar cycles, they could anticipate these awe-inspiring events with remarkable accuracy. Eclipses were seen as moments of great power and transformation, when the boundaries between the physical and spiritual worlds blurred. For the Druids, an eclipse was not just a celestial phenomenon but a sacred event, a time when the gods communicated with the earth, offering guidance, warnings, or revelations. This ability to predict such events gave the Druids immense influence, as they could prepare their communities for the spiritual and practical implications of these cosmic occurrences. But their understanding of astronomy extended far beyond eclipses. The Druids meticulously tracked the movements of the stars, planets, and constellations, using them to create detailed calendars that aligned with agricultural cycles and seasonal changes. These calendars were not just tools for farming, they were sacred maps that guided the timing of rituals, festivals, and ceremonies. The solstices and equinoxes, in particular, held deep spiritual significance, marking moments of balance, renewal, and transition in the natural world. By aligning their practices with these celestial events, the Druids believed they could harness the energy of the cosmos to enhance their spiritual work. The spiritual significance of celestial events was central to the Druids' worldview. They saw the stars and planets as living entities, each with its own energy and influence. Constellations were not just patterns in the sky, but symbols of divine forces, guiding the fate of individuals and communities. The Milky Way, for example, was often viewed as a pathway to the otherworld, a celestial river that connected the living with the spirits of the ancestors. This belief in the interconnectedness of the heavens and the earth made astronomy a vital part of Druidic spirituality, shaping their rituals, myths, and even their architecture. So why was this knowledge so closely guarded? The answer lies in its immense power. The ability to predict celestial events and interpret their meanings gave the Druids a unique authority over both the physical and spiritual realms. This knowledge could be used to guide communities, inspire awe, or even manipulate beliefs if it fell into the wrong hands. The Druids understood that the mysteries of the cosmos were not to be taken lightly. They required wisdom, discipline, and a deep respect for the natural order. As a result, only the most trusted initiates were taught the secrets of astronomy, ensuring that this powerful knowledge remained within the sacred circle of the Druids. As we prepare to explore the next chapter of Druidic wisdom, we'll delve into their belief in animal spirits and their role in rituals and divination. How did the Druids connect with the natural world through these spiritual guides, and what secrets did they uncover about the animal kingdom? Let's continue our journey into the hidden knowledge of the Druids. Now, as we step into the realm of the natural world, we uncover the Druids' profound connection to animal spirits, a bond that bridged the physical and spiritual realms. For the Druids, animals were not merely creatures of the earth, they were messengers, guides, and embodiments of divine energy. Each animal held a unique spiritual significance, and the Druids believed that by understanding these spirits, they could tap into a deeper wisdom that guided their rituals, divination practices, and daily lives. The Druids saw animal spirits as intermediaries between the human world and the divine. They believed that every animal carried a specific energy or lesson, and by observing their behaviors, they could interpret messages from the gods. For example, the stag was often associated with strength, leadership, and the cycle of life and death, while the raven symbolized transformation, mystery, and the ability to navigate between worlds. These animal spirits were not just symbols, they were active participants in the Druids' spiritual practices, offering guidance and insight during rituals and ceremonies. Divination was one of the key ways the Druids connected with animal spirits. They would observe the flight patterns of birds, the movements of animals in the wild, or even the behavior of domesticated creatures to gain insights into the future or uncover hidden truths. This practice, known as augury, required a deep understanding of animal behavior and the ability to interpret subtle signs. The Druids believed that the gods communicated through these creatures, and by reading their actions, they could make informed decisions for their communities. The knowledge of animal spirits was passed down through generations, often in the form of oral traditions and symbolic teachings. Young Druids would learn to recognize the spiritual significance of different animals through stories, songs, and direct observation. This knowledge was not written down but was instead preserved through careful mentorship and initiation rituals. The secrecy surrounding this wisdom was intentional. The Druids understood that the power of animal spirits could be misused if it fell into the wrong hands. By keeping this knowledge within their sacred circle, they ensured that it was used with respect and reverence. But why was this connection to animal spirits so sacred? For the Druids, animals were not just tools for divination, they were partners in the spiritual journey. The bond between humans and animals was seen as a reflection of the interconnectedness of all life. By honoring animal spirits, the Druids sought to maintain harmony with the natural world and align themselves with the divine order. This belief in the sacredness of all living beings shaped their rituals, their ethics, and their understanding of the universe. As we move forward, we'll explore the secretive rites of initiation that new Druids underwent, uncovering the challenges and tests they faced to prove their worthiness. What did these rites reveal about the Druids' values, and how did they ensure that their sacred knowledge was preserved for future generations? Let's continue our journey into the hidden wisdom of the Druids. Now, as we venture deeper into the hidden world of the Druids, we come to one of the most guarded aspects of their tradition, the forbidden rites of initiation. These rituals were not just ceremonies, they were transformative experiences designed to test the mettle of those who sought to join the Druidic order. For the Druids, initiation was more than a rite of passage. It was a sacred process that ensured only the most dedicated and worthy individuals could access their most profound secrets. The journey to becoming a Druid was arduous and shrouded in mystery. Aspiring initiates were often required to undergo a series of physical, mental, and spiritual challenges that pushed them to their limits. These trials were not merely about endurance but were deeply symbolic, reflecting the Druids' belief in the interconnectedness of all life and the necessity of balance between the physical and spiritual realms. For example, an initiate might be asked to spend days alone in the wilderness, relying solely on their knowledge of nature to survive. This test was not just about survival skills, but also about proving one's ability to listen to the whispers of the natural world and interpret its messages. Another common challenge involved facing one's deepest fears or confronting visions induced by sacred herbs and rituals. These experiences were designed to strip away the initiate's ego and reveal their true self, free from societal conditioning. The Druids believed that only by confronting and overcoming their inner shadows could an individual truly understand the mysteries of the universe and wield the sacred knowledge responsibly. These rites were often conducted in secluded locations, such as deep within sacred groves or near ancient stone circles, adding to their air of secrecy and sanctity. The secrecy surrounding these initiation rites was intentional and deeply rooted in the Druids' worldview. They believed that the knowledge they guarded was too powerful to be shared indiscriminately. If misused, it could disrupt the natural order or be exploited for personal gain. By keeping these rites hidden, the Druids ensured that only those who had proven their dedication, humility, and respect for the sacred could access their wisdom. This exclusivity also served to protect the initiates themselves, as the process of initiation was not without risk. The intense physical and psychological demands could overwhelm those who were unprepared, and the Druids took great care to ensure that only the most resilient individuals were admitted. The initiation process was also a way for the Druids to pass down their traditions and knowledge orally. Unlike written texts which could be lost or misinterpreted, the oral teachings were preserved through direct mentorship and personal experience. Each initiate would learn from a seasoned Druid, absorbing not just the facts but the deeper spiritual truths that could only be conveyed through lived experience. This method of teaching ensured that the wisdom of the Druids remained alive and dynamic, adapting to the needs of each generation while staying true to its core principles. As we reflect on these forbidden rites, it becomes clear why they were so carefully guarded. They were not just tests of skill or knowledge, but profound spiritual journeys that shaped the very identity of the Druids. These rituals ensured that their sacred wisdom was preserved and passed down with the utmost care, maintaining the integrity of their tradition for centuries. Next, we'll explore the sacred wells revered by the Druids, uncovering their healing properties and the spiritual significance they held. What made these wells so powerful, and why were they forbidden to the uninitiated? Let's continue our journey into the mysteries of the Druids. Now, as we turn our attention to the sacred wells of the Druids, we step into a world where water was not just a source of life but a gateway to the divine. These wells were more than mere bodies of water. They were revered as portals to the otherworld, places where the physical and spiritual realms intertwined. For the Druids, these sacred sites were imbued with profound healing properties and spiritual significance, making them central to their rituals and daily lives. The sacred wells were believed to be inhabited by powerful spirits or deities, often associated with healing, fertility, and protection. Pilgrims and Druids alike would visit these wells to seek blessings, cure ailments, or offer gifts to the spirits. The water itself was considered sacred, capable of purifying the body and soul. Rituals often involved drinking from the well, bathing in its waters, or leaving offerings such as coins, flowers, or even small tokens of personal significance. These acts were not just symbolic, they were deeply rooted in the belief that the wells held the power to restore balance and harmony to those who approached them with reverence. But why were these wells forbidden to the uninitiated? The answer lies in the Druids' understanding of the delicate balance between the sacred and the profane. They believed that the energy of the wells could be disrupted by those who lacked the proper knowledge or respect. An uninitiated person, unaware of the rituals and protocols, might inadvertently offend the spirits or misuse the water's power, leading to unintended consequences. For example, taking water without permission or performing improper rituals could anger the spirits, resulting in misfortune or illness. The Druids, as guardians of these sacred sites, ensured that only those who had undergone the proper training and initiation could access their secrets. The sacred wells also played a crucial role in the Druids' spiritual practices. They were often used as places of meditation and divination, where Druids would seek visions or guidance from the otherworld. The stillness of the water was thought to reflect the clarity of the mind, making it an ideal setting for introspection and communion with the divine. Some wells were even believed to have specific properties, such as curing certain diseases or granting prophetic dreams, adding to their mystique and allure. The secrecy surrounding these wells was not just about protecting their power, it was also about preserving the sanctity of the experience. The Druids understood that the act of seeking healing or guidance was deeply personal and required a certain level of spiritual preparation. By restricting access, they ensured that those who approached the wells did so with the right intentions and understanding, enhancing the effectiveness of the rituals and maintaining the integrity of the sacred space. As we reflect on the sacred wells of the Druids, we begin to see why they were so deeply revered and carefully guarded. These sites were not just sources of physical healing, but also spiritual renewal, offering a connection to the divine that was both powerful and transformative. Their forbidden nature only adds to their mystery, reminding us of the profound respect the Druids had for the natural world and the unseen forces that shaped their lives. Next, we'll delve into the Druids' forbidden knowledge of metalworking, uncovering how their expertise in crafting ritual objects and weapons was intertwined with their spiritual practices. What made this knowledge so powerful, and why was it kept hidden from the uninitiated? Let's continue our exploration of the Druids' hidden wisdom. Now, as we shift our focus to the Druids' mastery of metalworking, we uncover a realm where craftsmanship and spirituality were deeply intertwined. The Druids were not only skilled in shaping metal, but also in imbuing their creations with profound spiritual significance. This knowledge of metalworking was more than a practical skill. It was a sacred art, one that held immense power and was carefully guarded from those outside their inner circle. The Druids' expertise in metalworking extended to the creation of ritual objects, weapons, and tools, each crafted with precision and purpose. These items were not merely functional, they were believed to carry the essence of the divine, serving as conduits for spiritual energy. For example, ceremonial daggers and swords were often inscribed with sacred symbols or blessings, transforming them into instruments of protection and power. Similarly, ritual cauldrons and torques or neck rings were crafted with intricate designs that reflected the Druids' connection to the natural world and the cosmos. But why was this knowledge of metalworking considered forbidden? The answer lies in the belief that the act of transforming raw metal into sacred objects required more than technical skill. It demanded spiritual insight and ritual purity. The Druids believed that the process of forging metal was a sacred act, one that involved invoking the favor of deities or spirits associated with fire, earth, and craftsmanship. Misusing this knowledge or crafting objects without the proper rituals could lead to disastrous consequences, such as cursed weapons or objects that brought misfortune to their owners. The secrecy surrounding metalworking also stemmed from its potential for both creation and destruction. Weapons crafted by the Druids were not only tools of war but also symbols of authority and spiritual power. In the wrong hands, these weapons could be used to oppress or harm, disrupting the balance the Druids sought to maintain. By restricting access to this knowledge, they ensured that only those who understood its spiritual and ethical implications could wield its power. Moreover, the Druids' metalworking techniques were closely tied to their understanding of the natural world. They believed that metals, like all elements of nature, held their own spiritual essence. For instance, gold was often associated with the sun and divine energy, while iron was linked to strength and protection. The process of extracting and shaping these metals was seen as a form of alchemy, transforming the mundane into the sacred. This deep connection between metalworking and spirituality made the craft a closely guarded secret, passed down only to those deemed worthy. As we explore the Druids' forbidden knowledge of metalworking, we begin to see why it was so highly revered and carefully protected. This expertise was not just about creating objects of beauty or utility. It was about channeling spiritual power and maintaining the balance between the physical and the divine. The secrecy surrounding this craft only adds to its mystique, reminding us of the profound respect the Druids had for the forces that shaped their world. Next, we'll turn our attention to the enigmatic ritual of the Wicker Man, a practice shrouded in controversy and mystery. What was its symbolic meaning and why was it kept hidden from outsiders? Let's continue our journey into the hidden wisdom of the Druids. Now, as we step into the shadowy realm of the Druids' most controversial practices, we encounter the enigmatic ritual of the Wicker Man. This ceremony, steeped in mystery and often misunderstood, stands as one of the most striking examples of the Druids' connection to the spiritual and the symbolic. The Wicker Man was not merely a spectacle, it was a profound expression of their beliefs, a ritual that carried deep meaning and was shrouded in secrecy for reasons that go beyond mere superstition. At its core, the Wicker Man ritual involved the construction of a massive, human-shaped effigy made from woven wood, often towering over the landscape. This structure, filled with offerings or even living beings, was set ablaze in a dramatic display that symbolized transformation, sacrifice, and renewal. The flames consuming the Wicker Man were believed to carry prayers, offerings, or even the spirits of the sacrifice to the gods, ensuring fertility, protection, or victory in times of conflict. It was a ritual that embodied the cyclical nature of life and death, a theme central to Druidic spirituality. But why was this ritual so controversial, and why was it kept hidden from outsiders? The answer lies in its dual nature, both awe-inspiring and unsettling. The Wicker Man ritual was not just a celebration of life and renewal, it also carried an element of sacrifice, whether symbolic or literal. Historical accounts, often written by outsiders, suggest that animals, prisoners of war, or even volunteers were placed inside the effigy, though the exact nature of these sacrifices remains debated. This ambiguity has fueled centuries of fascination and fear, making the Wicker Man a symbol of both the sacred and the terrifying. The secrecy surrounding the ritual was essential to its power. The Druids believed that the act of sacrifice, whether symbolic or real, required a deep understanding of its spiritual significance. Misinterpreting or misusing this knowledge could lead to chaos, as the ritual was meant to maintain balance between the human and divine realms. By keeping the details of the Wicker Man ceremony hidden, the Druids ensured that only those initiated into their mysteries could perform it with the proper reverence and intent. Moreover, the Wicker Man ritual was a powerful tool for uniting communities and reinforcing social order. It was often performed during times of crisis or transition, such as the changing of seasons or the eve of battle, to invoke the favor of the gods and strengthen communal bonds. The spectacle of the burning effigy served as a reminder of the interconnectedness of all life and the need for sacrifice to ensure collective survival. This communal aspect of the ritual made it a closely guarded tradition, one that outsiders could not fully comprehend or replicate. As we reflect on the Wicker Man ritual, we begin to see why it remains one of the most haunting and intriguing aspects of Druidic practice. Its symbolic power, its connection to the cycles of nature, and its role in maintaining spiritual and social balance all contributed to its status as forbidden knowledge. The secrecy surrounding it only deepens its mystique, inviting us to ponder the profound ways in which the Druids sought to harmonize the physical and spiritual worlds. Next, we'll explore the Druids' unique understanding of time, a concept that shaped their rituals, their worldview, and their connection to the cosmos. How did they perceive the passage of time, and why was this knowledge reserved for their innermost circles? Let's continue our journey into the hidden wisdom of the Druids. Now, as we turn our attention to the Druids' perception of time, we uncover a worldview that was deeply intertwined with the rhythms of nature and the cosmos. Unlike the linear understanding of time that dominates modern thought, the Druids saw time as a continuous cycle, a never-ending loop of birth, growth, death, and rebirth. This cyclical view shaped every aspect of their lives, from their rituals to their agricultural practices, and even their spiritual beliefs. At the heart of the Druidic concept of time was the idea that everything in existence was part of a grand, interconnected pattern. The changing of the seasons, the phases of the moon, and the movements of the stars were not just natural phenomena to the Druids. They were sacred markers of time, each carrying its own spiritual significance. By observing these cycles, the Druids believed they could align themselves with the divine order of the universe, ensuring harmony and balance in both their personal lives and their communities. One of the most striking examples of this cyclical understanding was their use of the lunar calendar. The Druids meticulously tracked the moon's phases, using them to determine the timing of important rituals and festivals. Each phase of the moon was associated with specific energies and intentions, from new beginnings during the new moon to reflection and release during the full moon. This lunar calendar was not just a tool for keeping time. It was a spiritual guide helping the Druids navigate the ebb and flow of life with purpose and intention. But why was this knowledge of time considered so sacred that it was reserved only for initiates? The answer lies in its power. The Druids believed that understanding the cycles of time allowed them to tap into the very fabric of existence, giving them the ability to predict future events, influence outcomes, and communicate with the divine. This was not knowledge to be taken lightly or shared indiscriminately. Misusing it could disrupt the delicate balance of the natural world, leading to chaos and misfortune. Moreover, the Druidic concept of time was deeply tied to their rituals and ceremonies. Many of their most important practices, such as the celebration of solstices and equinoxes, were designed to honor the turning points of the year. These events were seen as moments of heightened spiritual energy, when the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds was at its thinnest. By performing rituals at these times, the Druids believed they could harness this energy to bring about transformation, healing, and renewal. The cyclical nature of time also influenced their understanding of life and death. To the Druids, death was not an end but a transition, a necessary step in the cycle of rebirth. This belief in reincarnation was central to their spiritual practices, offering comfort and meaning in the face of life's uncertainties. It was a perspective that encouraged reverence for all living things and a deep respect for the interconnectedness of all existence. As we reflect on the Druids' unique understanding of time, we begin to see how it shaped their worldview and their place within the cosmos. Their cyclical view of time was not just a philosophical concept. It was a way of life, a guiding principle that informed their rituals, their relationships, and their connection to the divine. This profound understanding of time's rhythms was one of their most closely guarded secrets, a testament to the depth of their wisdom and the sacredness of their traditions. Next, we'll delve into the Druids' beliefs about the otherworld, a mysterious realm that existed alongside our own. What was the nature of this otherworld, and how did the Druids communicate with it? Let's continue our exploration of the hidden knowledge of the Druids. Now, as we step into the realm of the otherworld, we enter one of the most enigmatic aspects of Druidic belief. The otherworld was not just a distant, mythical place to the Druids, it was a parallel reality, a spiritual dimension that existed alongside the physical world. This mysterious realm was believed to be the dwelling place of deities, ancestors, and powerful spirits, and it held profound significance in their spiritual practices. For the Druids, the otherworld was not a place of fear but a source of wisdom, guidance, and transformation. The connection between the living and the otherworld was deeply rooted in the Druids' understanding of the natural world. They believed that certain places, such as sacred groves, stone circles, and wells, acted as portals or thin places where the veil between worlds was at its most fragile. These locations were often the sites of their most sacred rituals, where they sought to communicate with the beings of the otherworld. Through these rituals, the Druids aimed to gain insight, healing, and even prophecies that could guide their communities. One of the most fascinating aspects of the otherworld was its fluidity. Unlike the static nature of the physical world, the otherworld was seen as a place of constant change and transformation. Time flowed differently there, and the boundaries between life and death, past and future, were blurred. This made the otherworld a place of immense power, but also one of great danger. The Druids believed that entering or interacting with the otherworld required careful preparation and respect. Missteps could lead to spiritual disorientation, possession by malevolent spirits, or even physical harm. The rituals used to communicate with the otherworld were among the most closely guarded secrets of the Druids. These practices often involved trance-like states induced through chanting, drumming, or the use of sacred plants. In these altered states of consciousness, Druids would journey into the otherworld, guided by their spiritual training and the protection of their deities. They would return with messages, visions, or warnings that were interpreted for the benefit of their people. These rituals were not performed lightly. They required years of study and initiation, as well as a deep understanding of the risks involved. But why was this knowledge of the otherworld considered so dangerous? The answer lies in its potential for misuse. The Druids believed that the otherworld was a place of raw, untamed energy, and those who sought to harness it without proper understanding or respect could unleash chaos. Miscommunication with the spirits of the otherworld could lead to curses, misfortune, or even the collapse of the natural order. This made the knowledge of how to safely navigate and interact with the otherworld one of the most closely guarded secrets of the Druids, reserved only for the most skilled and trustworthy initiates. As we reflect on the Druids' beliefs about the otherworld, we begin to see how this mysterious realm shaped their understanding of life, death, and the interconnectedness of all things. It was a place of both wonder and peril, a testament to the complexity and depth of their spiritual traditions. The otherworld was not just a concept to the Druids, it was a living, breathing reality that influenced every aspect of their lives. Next, we'll explore the final piece of the puzzle, the legacy of the Druids and how their forbidden knowledge continues to captivate us today. What secrets have survived the passage of time, and what mysteries remain unsolved? Let's continue our journey into the hidden wisdom of the Druids. As we now turn our attention to the legacy of the Druids, it's impossible not to marvel at how their ancient wisdom has echoed through the centuries. The forbidden knowledge they guarded so closely has left an indelible mark on modern spirituality, culture, and even science. Their deep connection to nature, their understanding of the cycles of life and death, and their reverence for the unseen forces of the world continue to inspire and intrigue us today. But what is it about the Druids that keeps their secrets alive in our collective imagination? One of the most profound ways the Druids have influenced modern thought is through their holistic view of the natural world. Their belief in the interconnectedness of all things, humans, animals, plants, and even the stars, has found resonance in contemporary environmental movements and spiritual practices. The idea that we are not separate from nature but deeply intertwined with it is a cornerstone of many modern philosophies, and it can be traced back to the teachings of the Druids. Their sacred groves, stone circles, and rituals remind us of the importance of preserving and honoring the earth, a message that feels more urgent than ever in our current age. The Druids' mastery of astronomy and their ability to predict celestial events have also left a lasting legacy. Their understanding of the movements of the sun, moon, and stars was not just practical but deeply spiritual. Today, their ancient observatories like Stonehenge continue to captivate scientists and historians, offering glimpses into their advanced knowledge. These sites serve as a testament to their ingenuity and their ability to harmonize the physical and spiritual realms, a balance that many seek to emulate in modern times. Yet, for all we've learned about the Druids, much of their knowledge remains shrouded in mystery. Their oral traditions, which were passed down through generations, were lost when their culture was suppressed. What remains are fragments, carvings, artifacts, and the echoes of their rituals that hint at a deeper understanding of the universe. This sense of the unknown is part of what makes the Druids so fascinating. Their secrets invite us to explore, to question, and to imagine what might have been. The enduring allure of the Druids also lies in their ability to bridge the gap between the seen and the unseen. Their rituals, their connection to the other world, and their belief in the power of transformation speak to a universal human longing to understand the mysteries of existence. In a world that often feels disconnected and fragmented, the Druids' vision of unity and harmony offers a compelling alternative. Their legacy challenges us to look beyond the surface, to seek deeper meaning, and to honor the sacred in all things. As we conclude our exploration of the Druids' forbidden knowledge, one question lingers: what other secrets might they have held? What truths about the natural world, the cosmos, and the human spirit remain hidden, waiting to be uncovered? The Druids may be long gone, but their legacy lives on, inviting us to continue the journey they began. Their wisdom reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge is not just about finding answers, it's about embracing the mystery and wonder of the unknown. And perhaps, in that spirit of curiosity and reverence, we can keep their legacy alive for generations to come. As we bring our journey through the forbidden knowledge of the Druids to a close, it's worth reflecting on the profound impact these ancient guardians of wisdom have had on history and spirituality. From their sacred groves and mysterious Ogham Script to their advanced understanding of astronomy and the other world, the Druids' secrets reveal a civilization deeply attuned to the rhythms of nature and the mysteries of existence. Their rituals, beliefs, and practices were not just tools for survival, but gateways to understanding the interconnectedness of all life, a concept that continues to resonate with us today. The Druids' reverence for the natural world, their mastery of celestial cycles, and their ability to bridge the physical and spiritual realms remind us of the timeless quest for knowledge and meaning. Their forbidden teachings, though shrouded in secrecy, offer a glimpse into a worldview that valued harmony, balance, and the sacredness of all things. Whether through their sacred stones, their herbal lore, or their enigmatic rites of initiation, the Druids left behind a legacy that challenges us to look beyond the surface and seek deeper truths. But perhaps the most enduring aspect of the Druids' legacy is the sense of wonder they inspire. Their secrets, though partially lost to time, invite us to explore, question, and imagine. What other insights might they have held? What wisdom could we uncover if we approached the world with the same curiosity and reverence they did? The Druids remind us that the pursuit of knowledge is not just about finding answers, it's about embracing the journey itself. So, as we conclude this exploration, I leave you with this thought. What does the legacy of the Druids mean to you? How can their ancient wisdom inspire us to live more harmoniously with the world around us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you found this journey through the forbidden knowledge of the Druids as fascinating as I did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an exploration into the mysteries of history. Until next time, keep seeking, keep wondering, and keep honoring the sacred in all things.